Why do the cunning rise while the righteous fall? Why do the wolves feast while the sheep are slaughtered? Today, I shall reveal 5 ruthless lessons that, if understood, will make you dangerously smart so that you are no longer prey but predator. Perception is power. Mark these words, for they cut deeper than any blade. In this world, truth is fragile, but appearances are immortal. Men do not concern themselves with reality. They concern themselves with the image that reality presents. A man may be wise, just and noble, yet if he fails to appear so, he will be scorned, forgotten, or crushed by those who understood how to wear the mask more convincingly. Understand this: what men see matters more than what you are. Imagine 2 rulers. The first is virtuous, honest, merciful. The second is cunning, ruthless, yet cloaked in the garments of virtue. Who do you think survives longer? The one who appears merciful will be praised, even as he tightens his grip on power. The one who is truly merciful, but fails to show strength, will be torn apart by those who sense weakness. Men are shallow in their judgment. They are taken by spectacle, by symbols, by impressions. They rarely dig deeper than the mask presented to them. To master perception, you must become both the lion and the fox. The lion intimidates through sheer strength, but the fox survives through deception. Yet neither animal succeeds unless men believe the mask it wears. A ruler need not possess all the virtues, generosity, honesty, justice, but he must appear to have them. It is far safer to seem good than to actually be good, for true goodness often costs you power, while the illusion of goodness wins you loyalty, trust, and admiration without sacrifice. Consider the stage on which life is played. Every man is both actor and audience, yet only the cunning understand this. If you play the role of the wise, men will come to you for counsel, even if your wisdom is thin. If you play the role of the strong, men will fear you, even if your strength is but a rumor. And if you play the role of the just, men will trust you, even if your hand drips with deceit. What matters is not the truth of your character, but the truth men believe about you. And once they believe it, that belief binds them stronger than iron chains. But do not misunderstand. Perception is not built by idle words. It is maintained by symbols, by actions carefully chosen to create the illusion you desire. A single spectacle can erase 1,000 truths. A grand display of generosity can convince the masses you are benevolent, even as you hoard wealth in secret. A public punishment of a traitor convinces all of your justice, even if behind closed doors you are ruthless beyond measure. Men remember what they see. They forget what they cannot witness. And here lies the danger. Many believe that sincerity alone will carry them through life. They trust that if they are truly kind, people will see their kindness. If they are truly wise, people will recognize their wisdom. But the world is blind, deaf, and cruel. Men judge with their eyes, not with their hearts. If your mask is weak, your truth will be invisible. Your mask is strong, your lies will become reality. It is not enough to be, you must seem. Seeming rules men, being rules no one. Use cruelty wisely. Let this truth pierce your conscience, for it is the most misunderstood weapon of power. Men are taught that cruelty is wicked, that mercy is always noble, and that kindness ensures loyalty. Yet history shows the opposite. Too much mercy invites rebellion, exploitation, and betrayal. A ruler who fears to be cruel becomes a ruler who cannot control his people. And when control is lost, chaos feasts upon the land, and blood flows endlessly, not because of cruelty, but because of weakness. Cruelty, when scattered like drops of poison, is destructive and dangerous. But cruelty, when applied swiftly, decisively, and with purpose, is medicine. It is the bitter draught that heals a festering wound. The masses may cry out when it is first administered. Soon they see order restored, safety secured, and life made predictable once more. They will forget the pain of that cruelty, but they will never forgive the endless suffering born from indecision and weakness. One stroke of the sword, delivered with precision, is remembered far less than years of fear and uncertainty. Picture a city torn apart by disloyalty, by thieves, by traitors plotting in shadows. A merciful ruler might hesitate, hoping to win hearts by sparing the guilty. But each hesitation emboldens the wolves, each delay whispers that the ruler is soft. Soon, lawlessness spreads like fire through dry fields, and the people themselves will curse his gentleness. But another ruler, faced with the same turmoil, acts with calculated cruelty. He executes the traitors in one swift act, displays their punishment for all to see, and then restores peace. The people tremble, yes, they also breathe easier, for they know chaos has ended. Which ruler do you think they will ultimately respect? You must understand, cruelty is not to be enjoyed, nor to be made a constant practice. The tyrant who delights in blood is despised, and his reign grows fragile. But the leader who wields cruelty as a surgeon wields a knife, cutting only what must be cut, earns a reputation of strength. The people may fear him, their fear will turn into obedience, and their obedience into stability. Stability, above all, is what men crave, even if it must be built upon bones. Mercy, when misplaced, is often more cruel than cruelty itself. To spare one traitor may lead to the suffering of thousands who fall victim to his betrayal. To forgive one thief may condemn 100 innocents to hunger. What the masses call kindness is often cowardice in disguise, and what they call cruelty is often protection in its truest form. Better to be condemned for a single ruthless act that saves a kingdom than to be praised for mercy that destroys it. Those who do not comprehend this principle confuse cruelty with brutality. Brutality is chaos, senseless violence without strategy. Cruelty, when wise, is not chaos, it is discipline. It is not wild, it is deliberate. It is not constant, it is rare. And it is not indulgent, it is necessary. When cruelty is wielded with this restraint, it is not a vice but a tool sharper than steel and more reliable than love. Men may forgive the ruler who punishes, but they never forgive the ruler who allows disorder to flourish under the guise of compassion. Loyalty is conditional. Believe nothing else, for to believe in eternal devotion is to invite ruin. Men swear oaths, men proclaim allegiance, men even weep at your feet and call you their master, their friend, their brother. Yet when fortune shifts, when danger rises, or when opportunity whispers in their ear, these same men will abandon you without hesitation. They will rationalize their betrayal. They will claim necessity. They will point to survival. And what will you have left? Nothing but the ashes of your trust. The mistake of the narrative is to imagine that love and gratitude secure loyalty. They believe that by showing kindness, by granting favor, by sparing enemies, they will build bonds that cannot be broken. But bonds forged in sentiment are fragile, for men are selfish creatures. Love fades in hardship, gratitude decays with time, and promises dissolve when weighed against profit. A man who follows you out of affection today may desert you tomorrow when another offers him gold, safety, or power. Fear, however, is far more durable than love. Love binds only so long as it brings pleasure. Fear binds so long as it brings survival. A man who loves you may betray you if it serves him, but a man who fears you will hesitate, for betrayal carries too high a price. Do not be fooled by the sweet words of affection. Instead, build your authority on necessity, on self-interest, on the knowledge that your allies and subjects gain more by standing with you than by deserting you. Loyalty, when tied to advantage, becomes harder to sever, for betrayal would mean self-destruction. Look to the courts of princes, the halls of emperors, the councils of merchants. How many have been destroyed not by open enemies, but by trusted friends? The friend who smiles in your presence, dines at your table, and swears eternal fidelity is often the one sharpening a knife for your back. This does not mean you must despise all men, but it does mean you must understand them. Expect betrayal, and you will not be surprised when it comes. Plan for it, and you will turn it into an advantage. Even the people, the masses who chant your name in the streets, who wave banners in your honor, who claim to adore you, do not mistake this for true loyalty. They are loyal to what you represent, to the stability you provide, to the spectacle of power you display. If famine comes, if enemies breach the gates, if fortune abandons you, their loyalty will evaporate like mist under the morning sun. The same mouths that praised you will curse you. The same hands that applauded will throw stones. Their devotion is not to you, to their own survival. So you must ask yourself, how does one secure loyalty in a world where love is fleeting, where gratitude fades, where devotion is but a mask? The answer lies not in sentiment, but in calculation. Reward must outweigh betrayal. Fear must outweigh temptation. And necessity must outweigh desire. When men realize they cannot live without your favor, they remain loyal not because they wish to, but because they must. This is the only loyalty worth trusting, the loyalty of necessity, not of affection. Control the narrative. For power does not rest solely in steel and soldiers or in gold. It rests in the stories men tell and the truths they choose to believe. A ruler may win 1,000 battles, but if his enemies tell the story of his cruelty, his victories become shadows stained with shame. Another may stumble and fail, but if he commands the narrative, his defeats are remembered as noble sacrifices, his errors as wisdom misunderstood by lesser men. Understand this: history does not belong to the virtuous, it belongs to the victorious, and victory is secured not only on the battlefield, but in the realm of perception. Men hunger for stories more than they hunger for bread. They wish to be led not only by strength, but by meaning. If you do not provide that meaning, your enemies will, and they will shape it against you. To neglect the narrative is to allow others to write your legacy while you still breathe. This is why a ruler must guard not only his fortress, but his reputation. For a fortress may fall once and be rebuilt, But a ruined reputation is a ruin forever. Consider the mob in the streets. They cannot see the full breadth of your rule. They cannot weigh your policies. They cannot understand the intricacies of power. But they can hear whispers, they can repeat rumors, they can be swayed by images and appearances. One public gesture of generosity convinces them of your kindness, even if you bleed them with taxes in private. One carefully staged act of piety convinces them of your virtue, even if you mock the gods behind closed doors. Men do not care for the truth, they care for the story that flatters their hopes or feeds their fears. This is why rulers of old built monuments, commissioned poets, and funded chroniclers. They understood that stone crumbles and armies decay, but words endure, carving images of power into the minds of generations unborn. Even the cruelest despot may be remembered as a great unifier if the narrative is properly maintained, and even the wisest ruler may vanish into obscurity if he neglects to shape how he is seen. What is remembered is not what happened, but what is told. To control the narrative, you must master both silence and spectacle. Silence when it protects you from scandal, when it leaves enemies starved of fuel to ignite rebellion. Spectacle when it dazzles the people, when it distracts them from their grievances and binds their hearts to the image you create. A grand celebration, a theatrical punishment, a carefully crafted proclamation, these weigh heavier on the minds of men than years of quiet governance. Their memories are short, their attention fickle, so you must constantly feed them the story you wish them to believe. And let it be known the narrative is not merely defensive, it is a weapon. With rumor, you may poison the reputation of rivals before they can lift a blade. With scandal, you may reduce a powerful enemy to ridicule. With controlled truth, you may make men march willingly into wars they do not understand. Lies, if repeated, become truth. Truth, if left untended, becomes forgotten. The sharpest sword may cut a man's body, but a sharpened story may cut his legacy, his alliances, and his very claim to authority. This is why you must not only act with cunning, but also speak with cunning. Your words must be chosen not for their honesty, for their effect. Your deeds must be presented not for their substance, but for the image they project. And when you seize control of the narrative, you seize control of men's minds, and once you have their minds, their bodies and their swords will follow without resistance. The ends justify the means. This principle, though whispered in fear by the weak, is lived boldly by those who rise to greatness. Men cling to morality as if it were armor, but morality is a chain that binds the ambitious and leaves them vulnerable to those who have no such restraint. If your purpose is survival, if your aim is stability, if your ambition is power, then whatever means secure it are not only justified, they are necessary. For men do not remember the path you walked, they remember only the throne upon which you sit. Look to history, and you will see it clearly. Rulers who hesitated, who clung too tightly to virtue, were swept aside by those willing to act with ruthlessness when the moment demanded. A man who seeks to be purely good will be destroyed in a world where others are not, but a man who bends his morals as one bends steel to forge a blade, he becomes dangerous, he becomes untouchable, he becomes a master of destiny. Men admire success, not righteousness, and they praise the victorious even if his hands are red with blood. The dead may curse him, but the living will kneel before him. What use is honesty if it leads to defeat? What use is mercy if it invites rebellion? What use is piety if it leaves your people starving? These so-called virtues, worshipped by philosophers and priests, mean nothing when your throne is stolen and your enemies laugh over your corpse. Better to lie and secure peace, better to deceive and protect your rule, better to strike ruthlessly and preserve your dominion than to cling to ideals that will bury you in an unmarked grave. Men call such actions immoral, but what they truly despise is failure. Victory absolves every sin. Understand this, when the end is noble, the means are forgotten. If you must deceive your people to unite them, they will later thank you for the unity. If you must spill blood to restore order, they will later remember only the peace. If you must betray an ally to preserve your kingdom, history will write you not as a traitor, but as a savior. Men are fickle, their memories short, their morals malleable. They will curse you in the moment of cruelty, but they will revere you when they enjoy the fruits of your success. The ends justify the means, not because cruelty or deceit are inherently noble, but because the world rewards results, not intentions. A ruler judged only by intentions is pitied. A ruler judged by results is feared and remembered. Ask yourself, would you rather be loved for your purity, then forgotten in defeat, or feared for your ruthlessness and immortalized as a victor? The people answer with their actions, not their words. They flock to power, they kneel before strength, they respect only those who succeed. Their lips may praise virtue, their hearts worship victory. To embrace this principle is to free yourself from illusions. You no longer weigh your choices by what is morally acceptable, but by what secures survival and dominance. You no longer ask, is this right? But instead, will this work? For in the theater of power, morality is not the script. It is a costume worn and discarded as the play demands. And the actor who clings too tightly to his costume will find himself forgotten, replaced by another who understands that the play must go on, no matter the deceit, no matter the blood spilled, no matter the promises broken. You have now seen the world not as poets describe it, but as it truly is. Power is not won by innocence, nor preserved by kindness. It is seized through perception, secured through calculated cruelty, maintained by conditional loyalty, strengthened through mastery of narrative, and justified always by the end it achieves. These are not the lessons of dreamers, but the weapons of survivors. Those who deny them are devoured. Those who embrace them are feared, obeyed, and remembered. The choice lies before you: remain blind or see the world with ruthless clarity. For once you understand these truths, you are no longer a pawn. You become a player in the great game of power.